From fantasy to reality, how to manifest your ex like never before. Hi there, I'm Coach Abby. Thank you for joining me once again on Love Advice TV. Love Advice TV is a channel that's been created exclusively for you to assist you in navigating through any relationship challenges. So, today we're going to be discussing something that I think is really important. You know, those moments after a breakup and beyond. So we're going to start with a topic that's often misunderstood and sometimes even dismissed. And it refers to manifesting your ex. Now, manifestation isn't about wishful thinking or magic tricks. It's about a deep, intentional process where you move beyond fantasy into reality, creating that space for genuine connection. So if you're ready to stop chasing illusions and start creating real changes, this video might be just for you. Manifestation is a word many throw around casually, but few truly understand what it means in the context of relationships. At its core, manifestation is about energy alignment, aligning your inner world with the external reality you want to create. Think of your mind and emotions like a radio station. If it's a bit of a Spotify, let's put it this way. If you're broadcasting anxiety, neediness, or pain, the frequency you send out will attract more of the same. It's not about trying harder. It's about being different inside. Now, here's a story to illustrate this. And sometimes I find that creating a real life story, obviously changing the names for, all the discretion that my clients deserve, it helps convey the message, I think, in a better way so that we can understand it much better. So let's talk about Emma. So Emma was determined to get her ex back. I mean, she spent her hours each day, texting him, posing pictures, replaying memories, in her mind. She was convinced that if she would continue posting all these stories and sending him all of these pictures and what have you, that it would pique his attention. What she didn't realize was that her constant emotional turmoil was actually pushing him further away. When Emma and I started working together, and she was able to capture the essence of the importance of shifting her focus inward, healing her wounds first, working on her self-worth, and staying in the present, her energy started to change. Slowly, her ex started to notice that she disappeared. Not only because he would later admit he stalked her social media and she wasn't there, but because of word of mouth. He wanted to find out things more about her, and it wasn't available to him because she stopped posting for a while. He was used at a certain rhythm. He waited it out, interesting enough, for several months. She was convinced it was done. He was sure in a certain way that she was going to break and she would reach out because she always did, because he knew how much she loved him, and she still does. But the point is that with a lot of encouragement, she really kept up her side of the bargain with me, and she did not reach out. She realized she had made him the prize. She had put him on that pedestal. It took all she had to not reach out. But fortunately, she was able to trust me, and for that, I'm grateful. I kept reminding her I was on her team, that she needed to stay strong. And when she reached out through WhatsApp, on a text, not in a coaching session, all of a sudden, so excited because he finally reached out. And he reached out months later because he really just couldn't contain his curiosity. The beauty is that in the interim period, though, Emma really had transformed a mindset of need and clinginess to one of self-confidence. And this allows her to feel empowered when he reached out and afterwards. She felt worthy. She felt beautiful. He told her that he missed her. Interesting enough, she never thought she would hear those words again. Manifestation, honestly, it's so important to understand, isn't a magic spell. It's the natural consequence of your internal transformation. It's not about faking it till you make it. It's rather about feel it until you become it. Now, most people trying to manifest their ex, they get trapped in this fantasy and they're imagining perfect reunions, second chances, or an idealized version of their past relationship. Now, the problem with this is that those fantasies often ignore reality and the reasons the breakup happened in the first place. So what we need to nurse is the feeling we feel at the thought of being with our ex and not necessarily our ex. It's counterintuitive, right? You see, chasing the person instead of the feeling is like chasing a mirage in the desert. It keeps you stuck and frustrated. So, let's look at a quick exercise, just for sakes. Close your eyes and imagine your ideal reunion with your ex. Now, what emotions come up? Forget about the scenery or where you're at. What emotions are coming up? Are they feelings of love, peace, joy? Or do you start feeling anxious, needy, or fear? It's so important to understand the difference between wanting a person and wanting the feeling they give you. That's where the breakthrough in manifestation comes. When you start focusing on recreating those feelings within yourself, those butterflies, that delightfulness, that feeling of peace, of love, of happiness, then and only then is when you begin to build a foundation to attract relationships that reflect those same emotions. You don't want to focus on fear because you're attracting more fear, or clinginess because you're attracting more neediness. On your behalf, by the way. So this is where the transformation begins, when we start just focusing on that feeling that we have of having our exes back in our arms, not necessarily looking at our ex in our arms. Interesting. For the purpose of this video, I've thought of narrowing down your manifestation with your ex successfully to involve 3 critical pillars. Now, the first pillar is the clarity of intention. You need crystal clear clarity about what you want and what you don't want. Not just I want my ex back, but what kind of relationship do you want with them? How do you want to feel in that relationship? What boundaries will you set? How will you handle conflict differently this time? I invite you to write these answers down. This clarity helps your subconscious mind focus and shape your daily behaviors. It's so important. Once again, for those that know me, I am such a fan of journaling. I think it's so important. There's such energy when we write something and then we read it back to ourselves. It's almost like our own bedtime stories back to ourselves. It takes us right to where we like to feel we are. The second is aligned action. Now, manifestation requires more than just thought. It requires action that matches your desires. One example is, are you really taking care of your emotional health? Are you cultivating interests previously ignored? Sometimes we get into a relationship and we drop everything and we just become there and we become so predictable. And it's so important to continue cultivating those interests that we hold dear to ourselves. You need to remember that it's important to set boundaries that honor your self-worth. It's not just about them. And lastly, I think that one of the things that we fail to do, and we put it away, we put it underneath the carpet, we think it's going to go away, but it doesn't. We need to heal old wounds. And these old wounds, if you start doing an examination of conscious, you'll realize that they blocked love before. You need to align action to a way that reflects the relationship you want to manifest. It's so important. It's not just, let's get him back. How do we want to get him back? Do we want it loving? Do we want it joyful? Do we want it peaceful? We have to consider all these different components so that we feel those different components within. Finally, let's surrender and trust. And this is one of the biggest problems we all have, surrendering and trusting. It's when we find ourselves that we need to surrender control over the timeline and the outcome, poof, it's like, Abby, but when is it going to happen? There's that internal question. And Abby, now that you've heard this from so many people, how long do you think it's going to take? We're not surrendering. I keep saying, just let it go. The universe is timeless. And just keep living your most enriched life in the interim period. And when it comes, it comes. You must learn to trust that process and release attachment to how things happen. How do we surrender? It's not that easy. I know that. But if we make a concerted effort to create a ritual, it gets easier. Practice meditation, journaling, affirmations. One of the affirmations, interesting enough, is I release the need to control. You need to trust that's what's best for you because it's on its way. It's not about having it now. It's on its way. Manifesting an ex back is not as difficult as some think because, you already share that hidden language of connection. It works because energy flows between people, especially exes who share history. Now, believe it or not, your ex also remembers not just your words, but your energy, how you made them feel in good times and in bad. When we are in a little bit of a no contact, that bad starts to diffuse. We always forget about when things were bad for us. And we try to, it's just human default thinking. We think about what made us feel good. So when you're caught in neediness or hurt, that energy, whether you believe it or not, is heavy and repelling. When you embody calm and confidence and self-love, your energy shifts to magnetic. So here's a practice to start shifting your energy right now. Every morning, I sit quietly for 5 minutes. Call it pausing, call it meditation, call it whatever. I visualize myself glowing with warmth and peace. I imagine my energy as a light that naturally draws others in without effort. I invite you to use that practice. This practice really rewires your subconscious and starts shifting your vibrational signal. Honestly, before we go any further, I really want you to take the free questionnaire below. It is designed to help you discover the best approach to reattract your ex based on your unique situation. This will give you clarity on where you are in your journey and what next steps are most powerful for you. This is, breakups, when I make my videos, they're very generic. But when you take these type of free questionnaires, they're unique to you. You see what's going on uniquely to you. So, the best part that I'd like to give a little bit of concentration to is, so what happens if your ex reaches out after your energetic shift? And they often do. How do you respond? How can you make or break the potential of a reunion? And this is so important because, yes, all of a sudden you're manifesting, you're seeing, you're doing your affirmations, your visualization, everything is perfect, and bing, they reach out. And you forget how it happened. It's almost like you become very anxious. There are certain tips that I really strongly suggest. you stay focused on. And one of them is stay calm and grounded. Please don't rush to fill the silences or explain yourself. So many times it's, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. I just wanted you to know that, I did this. And remember when you had mentioned something in this? And we go on and on and on and on because we're so excited because we're not planning beforehand. And I'm asking you to plan beforehand because it will happen. But you need to be prepared. You need to close the deal on all fronts before, during, and after. Listen actively to what they have to say. And, ask questions to understand where they are emotionally, not revealing where you are. You have to be honest about your boundaries and your needs. It's important to look for consistency between their words and their actions. Remember, you're not trying to win them back on that initial text. You're inviting them to join the new version of you. If they are not ready to meet you there, that's okay. The important thing is that you are still in their thoughts, witnessed by the fact that they reached out. And what they find is a self-confident, lighthearted, new you. And you're able to showcase that strength by creating this strategy, this calmness, this ability to listen, this ability not to blurt out all your life, of not to ask them, where have you been? Are you dating? It's there's so many different questions that we can say that all of a sudden sabotages it because it comes across as so needy. If you find you are having a hard time in identifying the feelings of fantasy with that of reality, please do not hesitate to book a one-on-one session with me. It would be my pleasure to assist you in developing, a technique designed uniquely for you so that you are prepared to receive that text or that communication in such a way that we leave them a little bit like, whoa, that's the whole issue, is to leave them so curious that they want to reach out again. So right now, I'd like to ask you a question. Now, based on the different points discussed in this video, what really is the ultimate secret, do you think, to manifestation? In short, you don't manifest, please, what you want. You manifest how you feel. So in order to manifest your ex back, or anything for that matter, you need to first align with the feelings associated with already having it, as if the feelings of self-love, that happiness, that confidence, and gratitude above everything. Yes, so much gratitude, even before they exist in your physical reality. And you will naturally attract relationships that reflect those qualities too. It's quantum physics. Energy attracts energy. I don't really think it. I don't want to come across as a rocket scientist. It's just there. And I feel that we put so much pressure on whether I can manifest or not, and we invite doubt in. Trust it. Trust the timing. Trust your ability to do it. Please follow the previous steps. Rewind this video. Just go ahead and reflect on the different ways of doing it, and you can manifest them back and probably anything else that you're looking for. Thank you once again for joining me today. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And, it'll be my pleasure to send to you more tips on personal growth, emotional healing, and honestly, everything in between. Until next time, I'm Coach Abby.